When I got there, I was looking for the protesters and when they were to be found. So I went to the charge office to find out what was happening. Then I saw my good friend Ose Kwame, and a couple of protesters who were kept in the room and what looked like they were being.
Wait, which Ose Kwame?
Ose Kwame. Yes, Ose Kwame.
Former representative Ose Kwame.
Yes. Now
was part of the protesters.
So he was there to film.
Okay.
He was there to film.
He was there to film the protest and they carried him along.
Exactly.
Stop it. Are you serious?
So yesterday what happened was at the time they were being carried into the bus, if you were unfortunate to be wearing a black tee or red tee.
So how I dressed today, I would have been banned on it.
Exactly.
Because me, I was very different today. I wore a red jacket and a black and red dress.
Exactly. So unfortunately for Ose Kwame, who was actually there to film, the demonstration, was added to the group of protesters who were bused to the station. Obviously, I couldn't get the opportunity to talk to him because the police wouldn't allow me, So the first question I asked the police was, where are the rest of the protesters?
Yeah.
And the policeman at the time said he won't talk to me because they've been instructed not to talk to anybody from the media. And I said, okay. So we waited. At that time, there were two young lawyers that were available to talk to the policemen. So they were giving us updates from the police office. It was then we got to know that the group of protesters that were brought to the office had been split or spread across various police stations. As to why they did that, we're not too sure. So they have spread, and matter of fact, they were actually brought to the police station or sent to the police station in batches. So there was a first batch, second batch, and a third batch. So depending on what time you got to wherever around the 37 military hospital and the 37 military station, they just take you somewhere. Right? So that was how we got to know that people were now taken to various police stations. I think Shukura, Dansuman, Kolebu Ministries, Railways.
Dansuman, they're quite
you see, that's the thing. Like, how do you catch somebody at 37?
Take him to Shukura.
All the way to Dansuman.
Shukura,
Like how?
Choko,
To Adabraka.
Adabraka. Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, so the original head office, which is in Accra, even there at the regional head office, you have the charge office where some people were kept. Then you have the original SWAT unit where other protesters were kept.
Wow.
And then they were now taken to Dansoman, Choko, railway station, Kolebu. Did I miss out anything? Adabraka.
And you were so people had to now shuffle between these different stations.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know who were taken to these places.
Wow.
But for the intervention of our brilliant young lawyers, look, I must say that they made law attractive yesterday. The way they came in their numbers. They actually had to set up a WhatsApp group. Shout out to Prince Ganaku and the rest of the lawyers. Yeah, Telegram group as well.
Wow.
Ifya Blue and Chris Albert and the rest, Roxanne. I can't even remember all their names. They created a WhatsApp group and they just decided to move together, as a team to make sure that we got our protesters out, because obviously they were trying to find out what crime they had committed for them to be apprehended. And the police told them that the crime was unlawful assembly. And per what we know by the presses that were released from the organizers of this particular demonstration, the police were actually informed way back in August.
A month earlier.
You get me? Way
21st.
back in August. And the law or the constitution does not even require them to give us permission. We just need to notify them.
Yes, so that you decide on routes. Because they're supposed to
Exactly.
give you protection
Exactly.
on this. They're not the ones that will tell you, don't go. Do you get? It's literally, okay, go this route. No, I don't agree. Yes.
Exactly. But instead, they carried our guys and put them there. And so the lawyers were just trying to work things out to make sure that they got it, because obviously the protesters didn't have any form of legal representation. So whatever they were doing yesterday in terms of the legal representation were all pro bono, And so, cut a long story short, we had a few chaotic moments where some people were carried from the entrance of the main regional headquarters into the yard. I call it the yard because at that point in time we didn't know what was going on in Rambo style.
Literally, and some people were beaten up. And the folk there, I mean, Bridget's own staff is the one that's even more.
And I'll tell you what
heartbreaking.
happened with the Bridget Otu's situation.
Tell me.
So we were standing outside the gate, which was at the entrance, the main gate, right? And we were trying to negotiate our way into the main yard because we were told that some of the protesters were there. Now, for me, I was with a lawyer who was asking me to follow him in there just so that I could get the number of people who were taken in, and at the same time try and get their names so we could put it out there, and then if people had friends and loved ones that they were connected to, they could come over. But the security officer at the time, or the police officer there, would only allow my lawyer in. He wouldn't let me in.
Okay.
So I was trying to talk to him, and then one gentleman, I still do not know who he is. He comes from nowhere, hits the gate. Like he hits the gate aggressively, and then he goes away. Okay. So he's angry.
Bangs on the gate.
Walks away.
He
walks away.
And then they open the gate and
So they
say,
open the gates, and then they go like, one above gates. No, who hit the gate?
wait, hold on. So like a who said Chia moment.
Exactly. This is where the wrong profiling and discrimination came in, because some of us, obviously are young, Gen Z, looking like, and they were just, so who opened the gates? They were just standing there like that with their arms folded, and then another person comes from nowhere
and just grabs,
enters into our crowd and says, 1, 2, 3, take them.
Hey.
Yeah. If anybody was there yesterday, they would know what I'm talking about. Because I was standing on the other hand, so I could tell. This man walks into the midst of us. He hugs 1, hugs 2, and he says, 1, 2, 3, take them. So now you see what
them
I believe,
being dragged
exactly,
into the courtyard.
These are people who were not in uniform. These were plain clothes,
police
policemen,
officers.
but they were buff, and they were heavier and bigger than some of us. So they just came out
and
they just grabbed. So that was when Bridget
now steps in and says, "No, you
can't
do
that."
people.
And then somebody comes from
nowhere,
from behind, and tries to get Bridget into the mix. And they were like, no, like she's not part of it and everything. We're even trying to say that the other gentlemen they had escorted in. Let me say escorted. They had been escorted into the yard forcefully. Were not, suspects, quote unquote. So what's up with all of these, aggressive action and so on and so forth. So that was when Bridget was asked to come out. By the time she came out, a part of her
outfit
was ripped. So someone had to offer her something to tie to cover up, and then they closed the gates for hours. Now, the lawyers that were in, the one lawyer, George, who was also trying to get in, for some reason, he was also trying to just talk to the police. Hey, guys, calm down and everything. And then I think at that point in time, tempers were high. They just transferred their anger to him and then just dealt with him mercilessly. The next thing we know, George was taken as part of the protesters who were kept. So a lawyer was also, who actually came on a very simple
to help protesters.
Exactly.
Was arrested as a protester.
Exactly. At the time, because everything is happening. A lot of people they would just go back, move back, go back, move back, go back, move back.
So if you don't go back, then they'll grab you.
You understand? So those of us obviously wanting to make sure that we are still there trying to capture the thing, we just obeyed instructions
and went back,
waiting for. And later, when tempers obviously calmed down, we had the opportunity to talk to the police, and they were telling us that, look, we've received orders from above.
Which above?
So exactly.
Where? Who is above?
So we don't know who the above is. We receive orders from above to do these things. So it would be in our best interest to comport ourselves whilst we are here. And also the lawyers were in there. Some of the lawyers obviously who were still in the room talking to the policemen were still negotiating on our behalf. So we noticed that, okay, this wasn't a battle or war we're going to win at the moment. So we started changing our strategy to get some food and water for those who were going to be kept, whether they were going to sleep the night. At that time, we didn't know. So we started moving in, making calls, getting food, getting water, snacks. And that's when we had people donating money and everything. And we were able to raise enough to buy food, water, and so on and so forth, just to get people, some of these supplies. Now, the saddest highlight for me was a young gentleman who was actually on his way to play basketball just around the Christ the King school. And because he was wearing a black shirt with the Marcus Garvey picture, he was also identified or profiled to be one of the protesters.
He was going to go and play basketball.
And he was equally added into the group of protesters to be put in the it wasn't a cell, it was like a holding room, and his mother came around to try and let the police know that my man on and they wouldn't let her in, and that for me was heartbreaking. It really broke my spirit.
Charlie.
I mean, as the conversation goes on, maybe I remember a few things and shit, but that was what happened.